As of April 2024, Nigeria's headline inflation rate increased to 33.69% from 33.20% recorded in March of 2024. Now, this shows that in comparison to March 2024, the headline inflation rate for April 2024 increased by 0.49% points in April of 2024, and the headline inflation rate was 11.47% points higher year-on-year than it was in April 2023 at 22.22%. Now, this illustrates how the headline inflation rate increased between April of 2023 and April of 2024. In addition, April 2024's headline inflation rate was 2.29% on a month-over-month basis and 0.73% less than March 2024's rate of 3.02%. Now, this suggests that the average price level in April 2024 will increase at a slower rate than it did in March of 2024. And now to discuss this, I'm joined by investment research analyst at Meristem Securities Limited, and that is Felicia Awolope. Felicia, a very good morning to you. Let's get started very quickly, right? So many analysts, have anticipated nothing less than, 34%. But let me get your reaction to the figures we're seeing. 33.69% rate. What was your expectation? And then do you think that we've done well in April?
Like you mentioned, experts expected inflation to hover around 34%. Personally, we projected inflation to come in at 34.43% for April 2024. And this is because we consider the different factors like the celebration of the Eid Fitr, the end of the Muslims fast that we had in April, and the fact that, typically during festive periods, the demand for products and prices generally increases, and it just fits into the prices of these goods and services. But I mean, I would say it's a good development that we saw inflation coming at a slower pace. We also expected this, 34%, 34.43%, because towards the end of April, we saw the hike in, transportation costs due to the fuel scarcity that happened towards the end of the month, and transportation costs surged. People had to buy fuel for as high as 1,500, 1,000 naira, different prices across the country, really. And we just expected, all this to, feed into the prices of goods and services and to actually impact inflation figures for April. But inflation came in at the 3.69%, and I would say, of course, like you mentioned, that just shows that the prices of goods and services increased at a slower pace compared to what we saw, in previous months. But like you mentioned also, we saw that month-on-month inflation actually moderated. And I mean, that sort of shows that average prices are beginning to, increase at a slower pace. And we're probably going to, it just means that prices are just increasing slower now compared to what we've been seeing.
So Felicia, Felicia, does this mean that there's a call for celebration then? I mean, a slower pace, the prices are still increasing, even though it's slow, from March to April. Exactly. So does that mean, is that a call for celebration?
No, so I wouldn't say it's a call for celebration because, like you mentioned, prices are still increasing. We're just beginning to see a slowdown in the rate of increase, and it's a welcome development. It's a good thing for us. This inflation would, will be a better thing. If we begin to see prices actually, moderate, that would mean that, people are actually going to be seeing respite in the high inflationary pressure that the country has been seeing for a while.
Right. Go ahead.
I was going to say this signifies like the 16th consecutive month of inflation increase, and a moderation would be a good thing for Nigerians generally, I would say.
Right. Now, earlier on when you were answering my first question, you were talking about some of the contributing factors as to what we've seen, and one of them was also the increase of petrol, which is where they were buying at pump price that increased significantly due to black market sales and the scarcity of it, right? But what other factors do you think was responsible for this increase we've seen from month on month?
I mean, also during the month we saw the electricity, tariff hike that the that was implemented, and those are the things that just figure they feed into the operational cost of businesses and companies, and of course this will impact the prices of their goods and services, and that is how it translates to higher prices of these goods and services in the country. So of course we also saw that the naira depreciated further, although the naira did not go as high as the 1,600 that we saw in March. We saw the naira go depreciate by around 6% by the end of April, to around 1,400, levels. And those are things that actually feed into the prices. So we also saw that the planting season that, started earlier this year, and, pricing of crops like maize, they just, when it's planting season, we don't see as much supply of some of these items, and these are the things that feed into the supply part or the supply aspect of food items. And seeing that the food inflation or the food component is a major contributor to our headline inflation. Those are, all these factors put together, what we've seen, give us this the 3.69% inflation rate that we saw in April 2024.
Right. Let's move beyond this, right, and talk about, so beyond the slow pace of increase, what Nigerians want is actual deceleration, whether we like it or not. Now, do you see that happening anytime soon?
Okay, so yeah, a disinflation would be nice, because a disinflation would be that we're beginning to see a slowdown. A deflation would be that if prices of goods and services are not rising again and they're actually falling. And I don't think we'll be seeing that anytime soon. However, I would say we might start to see disinflation, which is the prices of these goods and services would begin to increase at a slower pace, and our inflation figures might start to moderate. I think we might start to see that by, June, July 2024. And of course, we attribute that to the fact that the high base effect of last year, when we saw that by the jump in inflation figures between May, June, July last year was really significant, and that just puts last year figures at already high levels. And so when you now calculate the year-on-year changes, even if prices are still increasing, we might begin to see year-on-year changes start to moderate, towards June, July.
Right. Well, many thanks, Felicia. I appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you very much for